Hey, how's it going? My name's Brandon. I've been working on this 94 Ford Ranger for quite a while now. I did a full V8 swap, a lift, a bunch of other stuff, but now it's time to work on the interior. And one of the things that needs to get handled is the headliner. Everybody knows these old headliners in these 90s vehicles all fall down because the foam goes bad, and therefore it just starts drooping and stuff. So let's get this thing replaced. As you can see, the headliner's in pretty bad shape. It started to drop, so I pulled on it. It just tore. This is an extra cab truck, so it's a little bit bigger, but I found some great headliner material on Amazon. Looks like the exact same color, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this thing down and get it replaced. Unfortunately, I can't replace the visors, so they're gonna remain ugly and dirty for now, but we'll see if I can't find something to replace those soon. To replace this headliner, you just need a couple tools. Phillips screwdriver. I'll use this little electric DeWalt flat screwdriver, and I like to use these body panel removers that I got at Harbor Freight for popping off all these little plastic fir trees that hold everything together. So we'll get started and just remove every Phillips screw around the border and the dome light. We'll get started. After the visors, go ahead and remove the dome light. It's just 2 screws holding that in there. Just pull the cover off, pull the bulbs out, the fuse if you have one, and then just remove those screws. That'll drop that. You know, you wouldn't think that the dome light could be held in by a screw quite that long, considering it's going right into the roof of the truck, but I guess there's more room up there than you think. On the passenger side, I have this oh crap handle. So there's these little plastic covers you have to pry off with a flat tip screwdriver. And it looks like there's actually like a little 8mm bolt under there. So thought it was all Phillips, but I guess there is a little bolt in there. So we'll go ahead and get that off as well now. Well, I was totally wrong. It's definitely not an 8mm. Looks like more like a 5.5, or maybe it's actually a standard, but 5.5 seems to be working to get this thing removed. All right, now that the handles and visors and this little rear hook are all removed, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these screws holding in this B-pillar plastic, then use my little plastic pop-off tools. So start popping off these plastic fir trees so we can release this headliner to drop down. I decided I needed a little bit more room to pull this plastic piece down off the roof after I got those fir trees out. And so I'm going to use a T50 Torx socket to remove these top seatbelt bolts, just to give this plastic panel a little bit more room. I actually lost a fir tree here in the back. It broke off. This one actually pulled the whole housing out, so we'll have to see if I can fix that once I get the headliner out, but I'll work on that. But the rest of it's ready to drop out. All right, so I was able to just pull the entire headliner forward out of those rear mounts. If you want to take those whole rear side panels off, probably be easier. I was able to just pull it forward. We'll see about installation if I need to drop those down more, but just pull the whole thing forward. Now I'm just going to finagle it out of the truck and we'll get started, but it's down. Wow. Okay, that thing wasn't easy to get out of an extra cab, so wish I had a standard cab for that, but I ended up just laying the seats all the way down and then pretty much got it under the steering wheel, and then I was able to kind of pull it out. Sorry I didn't get it all on video, but it's a little dance. The biggest thing is make sure you try not to crease the headliner anywhere as you're pulling it out, so it'll go back to its original shape after you recover it. So this is the old headliner. This is the new fabric I got. I'll put a link to it in the description, but it's pretty darn close. It's maybe a little bit lighter, which is fine. This one's pretty ragged and stained looking, so I think it'll still look good in there, and you won't notice that it's aftermarket as much as it just looks nice. So let's get started. So one of the things I've done is I've just laid this material out on the back of the truck here on the tonneau cover so that it can sit out in the sun, get all the wrinkles out from shipping, hopefully make it a little bit more pliable and ready to put on. And now I have the headliner just laid out on this big table. So we're gonna go ahead and strip this thing down and get it ready to install the new headliner fabric. All right, we're gonna start by just removing all of this original fabric off of this thing. The good news is it just tears off. So just go around the whole headliner, tearing off all the old fabric. Everything that's not stuck down anyway. See this thing shredded. If you have any edges around the front here, just use a razor knife, trim them off. The biggest thing is just make sure you're not messing up the original plastic foam board of the headliner. So go ahead and get this whole thing stripped down. All right, the next phase of this thing is you just take a hard bristle brush and just start brushing off all the foam that's on there, because that's all got to come off before you put the new headliner down. So you literally just go after it with the brush. And it'll take a while, but it'll just take it all off, and you just vacuum it up as you go. You can also use a small thing on your drill. Just be careful you don't want to go through the material. So just lots of elbow grease on this one. Just start taking it all off. All right, that hand brush was taking way too long, so we're on to power tools. This nice little aggressive grip thing on here. It'll wipe it out fast. After a whole lot of grinding with my little grinder wheel here on my drills and a lot of vacuuming, I think I've got this thing pretty well smoothed out. It's not perfect, but as my dad always said, close enough for government work. So now we can go ahead and get ready to lay the fabric on this thing. All right, so what I did is I went ahead and laid out all the fabric, making sure I have a good overlap on all the edges. It's nice and flat on there, looks good. So what I'm going to do now is just start at one end and start gluing it down and work my way across. So I'm using just some Summit Racing spray adhesive. Summit's close to me, so it made sense to buy their stuff. So I'm going to start at the hardest edge, which is the big steep curve, and hopefully I'll learn as I go. But we'll give it a shot. I had to use some paper clips here or some clothespins to hold it down because the wind is blowing a little bit. So just read the instructions on your can. Mine says, tack up both sides, let it tack up for 30 seconds or so, and then go ahead and start sticking it down. So we'll give it a shot. Some people like to start in the middle. I prefer to start at one end and just work my way across. So that's all I'm going to do is start at one end, and I'll fold all the fabric back and just work my way the other way. Well, like clockwork, my GoPro battery died just as I was about to finish up. I didn't want to leave this glue and go change the battery, so you missed the very end, but really turned out pretty good. There's just a couple little tiny wrinkles in here, but for an amateur job, for a guy like me, for a headliner, for a 1994 Ford Ranger, it's going to be fantastic. Looks way better. So now I've clipped it on with some little binder clips or paper clips, clothespins all around. So now I'm going to flip it over and glue the backside just enough that it'll stick, and then trim it up so that there's not much fabric left, and then we'll be ready to install this thing. Okay, so we've gone ahead and flipped this thing over, glued it from the backside, trimmed it all up. Got some clips on there still just to help hold it. Cut out the dome light, just cut some small holes where the mirrors need to come through, or the visors. Small little bolt holes for those. Same with the crank bar. There's a little hole there for that. Screw will push through there. And I think we're just about ready to reinstall this thing. So putting the headliner back in, same thing as taking it out. Just going through now and reattaching everything. A couple of my little fir tree things in the back broke, unfortunately, so I had to use some black ones that I had. Luckily they sell those at Harbor Freight. Black will have to be fine for now. So just installing these these sun visors, and then we will be pretty much wrapped up here. Visors all back in. They don't match. Headliner was definitely more of a reddish color than I thought, but still looks pretty good. All the pillars went back in. Just got these last two little fir trees. Put the seat belts back in already. Looks great. I'll show you a finished shot. All right, looks like we got the headliner all done. You can see they're kind of mismatched compared to the visors, but overall, headliner looks really good. Couple little issues, but nothing too bad for the fact that I did it by myself with a $15 can of glue and about $30 worth of fabric. Way better than paying somebody to do it. And probably took me about 3 hours all together. Obviously stripping the foam was the hardest part. I did read and saw a couple of videos where people said to use lacquer thinner to remove the foam. I tried that and actually started breaking down the headliner material pretty bad underneath, so I didn't want to ruin that. So overall, the Ranger's looking better. Next up, install a new stereo, some new speakers, fix that dash bezel, and then the old V8 Ranger will be looking good. If you're interested in other content from my channel, I have videos on my Bonneville Triumph, my Volkswagen SP2, and the awesome Barn Stang. It's been in storage for 25 years. I'm getting ready to restore this old Fox body Mustang. So check out my other videos on my channel. Subscribe to see more of this stuff. Hope you guys like it.